So this week we are talking about our saddest moments and our happiest moments. I'm gonna start with my saddest moment because I'm already starting to kind of freak out about it. My saddest moment is when I found out that my friend Alex had died, and I'm already starting to cry. Alex was killed in Afghanistan about 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago. It was April 20th of 2007, and I remember it vividly, where I was and what I was doing. I had gotten a speeding ticket in January, and that was my court date, and so I had driven, because I had gotten it in a different part of Tennessee, I had driven for my court date, and I had been in the court for like 5 hours waiting to, just get this whole thing resolved. I had come back, and I was getting ready to go to work, and my phone rang, and it was my sister calling me. I don't really talk to my sisters very often on the phone, so I was kind of like, okay, what was she calling for? And I answered, and she said, hey, I just wanted to tell you before you found out through the news that Alex had gotten killed overseas. And I was very silent, and I actually was like, okay, thanks for telling me. It was very quick phone call, and I hung up the phone, and I just kind of sat there, and I was in my uniform ready to go to work, and I just didn't have any reaction at all. I just was very silent, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I went to work, and probably about 5 hours had passed since I got the phone call, and it was just a really quiet moment in my head. I was just, reliving through thoughts, and I went into the back room where like all the stock and storage was, and it just hit me at that moment that he wasn't here anymore. And this sounds so retarded that I'm crying about it, because I guess the history of our friendship, I met him probably when I was in the 7th grade. He went to church with me, and he was in my little group of friends, and we had a very a very tumultuous friendship. It was kind of like a back and forth. Sometimes I couldn't stand to be near him. When you're 13 and you're friends with a boy, they're just, weird and retarded, and you're weird and retarded. I was very silent about when he died, and I didn't cry a lot until I went home for the funeral. And I remember I was trying so hard to be the brave one. I don't know if you've ever been to a military funeral, but they usually escort them from the funeral home to the church, and it's a big motorcade, and everybody was lined up on either side of the street with flags and waiting for this processional of motorcycles and family, and then finally at the very end him in his casket. And I held it together really well, and we were walking into the building, into the church, and I saw this girl that I hadn't seen since high school, and she was walking in the other direction, and she was like, hey Samantha, and as soon as I saw her, I didn't even say hi, I just started crying. And it was like this heaving, like, crying, and we were walking into the church, and I remember being so loud about crying, and I was just so embarrassed that I was crying. And we sat there through the whole service, and I was just like, trying to breathe really hard, and they did the whole folding of the flag and presenting it to his wife. He'd only been married for a year, and then they did one for his mom, and then they did the 21 gun salute, and the whole experience was just not a fun experience. I remember the worst part of it all was he was in the airborne division, so he jumped out of airplanes, and the morning that he died, a Dutch soldier had been killed in action, and they were going to recover his body, and from what I know, basically they came into his little group and said, hey, we have this mission to go on. We need to recover this soldier's body. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And Alex volunteered to do it and was like, okay, I will go. I'll go and recover his body. It was him and a couple other guys. And my understanding is that during the mission, an IED went off. And if you know what an IED is, in layman terms, it's basically a bomb. And so all I can imagine is just him landing on it. There not being anything. And there not being anything there. And so, when they were bringing his casket down the aisle, I just kept looking at it thinking, he's not even in there. He's not even in there. And he's not here. And not only is he not alive, but there isn't a physical presence, a physical remembrance, a physical piece for us to look at. He was only 21. He was such a great person. And I know everybody says that about people that die, but he really was. And so for him to be gone, he's only 21. And to leave his wife behind, they'd only been married a year. And just to always remember, you know, what could have been. I don't know. From that moment on, I just kind of thought, I need to do something better with my life, and I need to be a better person. I still get choked up all the time about it. It's been 3 years. Almost 3 years. It's harder when people are your age and they pass away. I still miss him. Even though I didn't get to see him a lot 2 years before he died. Because he was over there and I was in school and all that kind of stuff. So that was my saddest moment. I hope that wasn't too odd. My happiest moments? I don't think I've had my happiest moment yet. I think there's a lot of happy moments to come. And I think the happiest moment of my whole entire life has not happened yet. I've had some good moments. When I got accepted into my internship to Disney, that was a good moment. When I got my job at the TV station, that was a good moment. When I graduated from college, it was a good moment. But I can't think of anything. And like as soon as I heard the topic, what's your saddest moment, I knew. And what's your happiest moment, I don't know. I think my happiest moment is still to come. I don't know. Yet. It's here yet. I love the word yet. Yet. Y-E-T. Because it's got so much, there's so much encompassed in the word yet. There's faith that it's going to happen, hope, perseverance, contentment in the fact that I know it'll be there. So, yet.